Hello and welcome. If you are new here, my name is Darlene, and like many of you, one of the questions I ask myself every day is, what am I going to make for dinner? And I find when I know what's in my freezer, what's in my pantry, it makes it a little bit easier to come up with that. And I was somebody that used to be very organized. I had a freezer inventory and all of that, but over the years it kind of just got away from me, and I couldn't get back on track with it. So, I get something at the store, we go to Costco, I just come home and I shove it in the freezer. I'd make something for dinner and I would just like shove everything back in the pantry, and then it just got to the point where I didn't know where anything was. I go to make a recipe, I thought I had something, I go to get it out of the pantry, I didn't have it. And it just became kind of chaotic, and I just didn't really enjoy, cooking and trying to get creative in the kitchen and all of that. So 2 weeks ago, I posted a video sharing the whole starting process of, sharing with you my freezers, my pantries, giving you an overview. So if you didn't see that video, I will link it down below. And honestly, I haven't really done anything in the past 2 weeks to organize it. I've just been maintaining what I have done, and I've just been using certain items up from our freezer, not really getting anything new. And I've gotten it dwindled down to a really good point where it's easier to kind of maneuver everything and get it better organized. So I thought, what better way to share a little update with you by sharing with you how I'm getting back on track with my freezer inventory and a little bit of a pantry inventory too. So this was just one day I was doing a little bit of organization and a little bit of cooking in the kitchen, and I thought I would share it with you. I have used a lot of different systems over the years, and what I'm using right now is just a little notebook I got at the dollar store. It has a couple of pockets in the front, and then I can just rip out the pages as I use them. So this was kind of what I was working with for the past little while, and I just got to the point where I didn't update stuff. I had pulled some off, I didn't really know what I have. And now I've really, broken everything down into a much better system. So I shared with you in that last video that I kind of, did an inventory of what I have for canned goods. I really don't use a lot of canned products anymore. I did use a can of coconut milk. I did purchase a few cans of beans, and I just wrote them down. It wasn't very time consuming. I just did it this morning. And then I also used up the last couple of containers of chicken broth, so I definitely need to replenish that. So I just, folded these up, and I'm just going to leave them in the pocket. So the one system that I want to know exactly what I have is freezer meals. So I know out in my specific area, I have a container of spaghetti sauce. I have a very small container of chili. I also have that potato soup that I made. And then I also have 4 small containers of homemade beans. And let's actually go out right now and take a look at where I have all of that. So this is our new freezer from Costco. It's not very big, but it is all that we need for our little family. So these are the 2 shelves that I want to use for my freezer cooking, and it's going to work perfectly. So right there I have the 4 containers of the homemade beans that I made, and then right there is my container of spaghetti sauce and 1 container of chili, and then right here is that container of soup. And then it has 3 drawers. This one here is chicken, this one here is beef, and then this one down here is pork. So there you go. That is the freezer meals, and the freezer meals is anything that is homemade. And I'll be able to keep it on those 2 shelves, and as I use them, I can mark everything off. So I have everything that I have in the beef drawer, I have everything that I have in the chicken drawer, and then everything that I have in the pork drawer. So that is the 3 kind of main meats that we eat. Now in the deep freeze, I bought cloth bags from the dollar store. So I would use red for beef, I would use blue for pork, and then the yellow for chicken. And it was just easy. I knew the blue bag, everything in there was pork, the red bag, everything was beef. And in this freezer, I have everything organized in a drawer. So then the odds and ends in my kitchen freezer, I don't keep track of everything, but I do know that I have some breakfast hash, some sausage rounds. I don't have any more bacon, and then some pork cutlets that I bought. They're in packages of 4, so I know that I took one out last night for our son, so I just I'm gonna keep updating it as I take 1, 2, or 3 off. And then I just have just some frozen sausages like you grill on the barbecue, or they're also really great for quick, easy lunches. And then the garage freezer, I've just been kind of working at it, so now I know exactly what I have. I have some ribs, some stuffing, I have a box of chicken wings, some sausages. These ones here are mostly that I'll be using for kind of food prep for meals, but we'll also be using a little bit of that probably in the next week because we're going to have very warm temperatures again. And then my husband went into Giant Tiger and he bought a donair kit, so that's out there too. And I forgot all about it till I opened up the freezer. And then I also have some souvlaki kebabs. I shared with you a high protein lunch that I made that was really, really good. So it's good to know that I have those in there too. So now that the nicer weather is here for another week, week and a half, I should use those up for lunch with the cottage cheese and cucumbers because it kind of fits the weather. So that is all that I have. I also decided just to make up a list of things that I'm going to need just because my inventory is getting very low. So I'm going to need some breakfast meat, so bacon or breakfast sausage so I can keep an eye on the sales, or I can also have this list for whenever I go to Costco. Pork tenderloin is something that I like to get and it goes on sale quite often. It's something I use more in the cooler months. And then the beef too, ground beef, I use a lot more of that in the winter than I do in the summer. Also some stew beef, that is something I use more in the colder months. Roasts are one of those things where I'll pick them up here and there as they go on sale, but I don't cook them as often as I do with ground beef and stew beef. And I definitely need all the cuts of chicken. And here is the full setup. Right here is the things that I need. So it's all right there. Then in here I have like all of my canned goods. I know what I need, I know what I have. So if there's a couple of recipes I want to make, I'm like, oh, do I have any canned tomatoes? And I can quickly check here. And then I have all of the lists of what I have in my freezers, and it's just something I just keep on the shelf with my cookbooks, and it's not that expensive and it's really easy to keep organized because I can just rip the page out as the chicken one fills up or the freezer mill. But I will continue sharing the whole process with all of you. I also went to Dollarama this morning to pick up a few containers for freezer cooking. I've done lots of freezer cooking over the years with single serve and, taking a full day to cook. But now I just try and, like when I make spaghetti sauce, making sure that I have extras. And I just want to have the containers that kind of work for me. So I picked up a couple of these Betty Crocker. They're the round foil containers with lids. There's 2 of them in here. I do like these because lots of times whenever I have like a freezer meal, I just heat it up in the oven. I thaw it and then heat it up in the oven, and these ones are just really convenient. So these were $1.75. You get 2 of them in here. And then I also picked up the 3-pound foil containers with the folded lids. These ones were $1.75. There's 2 of them in here. And then on the lids, I can write what's in there, and I just find it works really well. So I decided to pick up 2 of those. And then I also got some smaller ones. These are the 2-pound foil containers with the folded lids. There's 3 of them in here. These ones were $1.25. I just thought these would work really well for that space in our freezer. I do use plastic containers, but for certain things, when I go to reheat them, it's just nice to also have them in the aluminum trays so I can put it right into the oven. And then I also picked up a container of saran wrap and then also a container of aluminum foil. And today is the day where I'm getting organized and I'm even filling up my freezer a little bit. Potatoes were on sale for a great price last week, so I just peeled them and now I'm cutting them all up because I'm making a large pot of mashed potatoes because I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of shepherd's pie. I'm using ground beef, so I know it should be called cottage pie because I always get corrected on that. But honestly, I think I'm just going to call it a comfort pie. This is one of those meals during the winter months I like to have in the freezer on a day where it's just busy or I don't feel like cooking. I just feel like I can take it out, thaw it, and then put it into the oven and let it bake. And then I have a really nice home-cooked meal and I didn't have to put all the work or clean up all the mess. So I'm going to also get an onion diced up and then add this to the ground beef. 1 pound of ground beef. I added in the onion, and now I'm adding a little bit of garlic. I like the convenience of the jarred garlic because I don't use it a lot, and it's just something I like to have in the refrigerator. And now I'm just seasoning it with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I'm just gonna cook it down. And there is absolutely no recipe to this comfort pie. It's just the way that I've made it for years. Growing up, my mom never ever made anything like this. It wasn't until I met my husband and he introduced me to it, and over the years I've just come up with a way that I really enjoy it. So I'm also gonna chop up some of the cremini mushrooms that I have. I always put mushrooms in with the ground beef. I find it just gives it just a little bit more substance to it. It's a little bit more of a filler, a little bit of vegetables, and the cremini mushrooms too have a nice kind of flavor to them. So I really like adding that to the ground beef. So it's all cooked down right now, and this is something I just started doing the past couple of years. Is I just take a gravy packet, I sprinkle it over top, and then I just add in the 1 cup of water, and then it just thickens up very quickly, and then you have a nice hearty meat mixture, and then it has the nice gravy and the flavor. So I didn't really need to add a lot of seasoning to the ground beef because it is going to get more flavor from the gravy packet. The meat mixture is just sitting at the side. I turned the heat off. The potatoes are done. So I added a little bit of salted butter, also a little bit of cream just to give it a nice rich consistency to put on top of the comfort pie. And then once this is done, I am going to start the assembly. The 2 round pounds out. I've used these ones for years. I know I think a couple of times when I started making this, I even did them in the casserole dishes, but I just don't have room for that anymore. And I honestly thought about doing them into the 3 pound rectangular containers, but it would just be so thick and it would take a lot longer to heat up compared to the nice kind of a thin layer in the round pan here. I know some people use peas and carrots and a tomato base for their shepherd's pie. I have the gravy meat mixture and I use cream corn. I don't know why. It's what I've always used. And I think it's part of the way that my mom cooked. Lots of times she would make mashed potatoes and we'd have cream corn and I just put it over the mashed potatoes. So I think this is really what a comfort meal is to me on those days where it's rainy and cold and wet and I just kind of want like a good home cooked meal without all of the work and mess. This is what I enjoy. And then I just take the mashed potatoes, put them on top, spread them out as best as I can, and then finish it off with a little bit of dried parsley. And that is how I make my shepherd's pie, which I prefer to call a comfort pie. I have the pies pushed to the side to cool down, and now I'm making dinner. We are having Brenner breakfast for dinner. I'm making a large batch of buttermilk pancakes. I haven't made this big batch in a long time. I have found a recipe where it just feeds the 3 of us. It makes the perfect amount. But today I want to have extras. That's one of the things I love to have in the freezer. So I have my flour, I use baking soda, baking powder, and then some white sugar too. I will link the recipe down below. It's from All Recipes. So you always do your dry ingredients first, and then we'll be doing the wet ingredients, but I had to wait for the butter to cool, so it's 1/3 of a cup of butter. And then I have my 2 pans here, so I'm actually going to go ahead and heat them up. And then while I was doing everything else, I also got the bacon in the oven and got it cooked. And then I ran out to the store and I got some strawberries. And then I remembered the last time I was there, they had these pineapple skewers. I bought them in the summertime. They were $5. They're on clearance now for 94 cents. And I knew, because I had updated my freezer inventory, that I had 4 packages of the pineapple chicken teriyaki sausages. So I grabbed 4 packages of these because that will be a quick, easy lunch that I will be able to make one day. And now we just do all of the wet ingredients. So it's 3 cups of buttermilk, 1/2 cup of milk, 3 eggs, and then the melted butter. And then you mix that all up. And then you pour it into the dry ingredients. And that's one of the things too, is I find like whenever my freezers are organized and my pantries are organized, I find I'm more relaxed in the kitchen and I actually enjoy the process and I know exactly where all of these are going to go. And then the other thing about this is I can pull them out for, you know, on a quick night for dinner. I pull out the pancakes. I heat them up in the air fryer now, or you can do them in the toaster. You can heat them up in the oven. And then I'll just make either some breakfast sausage or bacon, or you can do scrambled eggs and some fruit. I have some frozen strawberries in the freezer too from the summer. So it's just one of those things about having some extra stuff in here. My husband and my son love pancakes, and I don't always want to go through the whole process of making them from scratch. So this is just a nice way to be able to have some of the home cooked in the freezer ready to go. Make sure all the flour is mixed up from the bottom, and then I just start the long process of making the pancakes. It's a labor of love, but we enjoy them and it's something I like to have in the freezer. So in my big pan, I do 3 pancakes. I don't want to crowd them, and then I do 2 in the smaller. So in the past, I figured out like a smaller batch recipe that will feed us for that night. But today I wanted to make the extra, so we enjoyed it with the strawberries and bacon. And then I have 6 pancakes on each plate ready to go. And then I use the containers that I always use. These are just from Walmart. They're just the mainstays one, and I know that the 6 pancakes will fit in here perfect. I don't even have to think about it. And that's one of the things when you start doing the same things over and over again, you come up with systems and it just gets easier and easier every time. So then with the shepherd's pie, I just took my Sharpie, I wrote it on top, and then I'm just going to loosely put these in here as best I can. I don't want to press it right down because everything will kind of ooze out. And here it is. I just went ahead and put these in some Ziploc containers. I could wrap them with saran wrap and all of that, but I could use those again. And then there's the pancakes with the lids on. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put them out into our new freezer on that shelf. So there they are, the 2 shepherd's pie, the pancakes. So I'm starting to build up my inventory that I have here. And then if I make something one night, I can make it bigger and then just freeze a container. So I just updated the things that I use. So there is the cream corn, and then I just also have the things I needed. I just wrote down beef broth and chicken broth just to kind of give you an example. So there I have everything organized in here really well. I added in the shepherd's pie, the pancakes, and then the other thing that I did was I just wrote in the pineapple here to go along with the chicken pineapple sausage, so I know exactly how many of everything I have. I hope that you were able to follow along, but it's just after 2 weeks, that day, I just said, you know what, I want to get organized. I want to know exactly what I have and just, you know, get all of the proteins organized, see what I have for freezer cooking, and then just go from there. And honestly, it took me like 15-20 minutes to kind of get everything positioned properly. I had to pull a couple of things out of one freezer, get them into the other, and then just update it in my book here. And I think just focusing on freezer meals, the proteins, and then kind of the odds and ends, I think it'll work really well. And honestly, having our deep freeze of 25 years quit that was completely full, it definitely makes me me think a little bit more about what we actually need, what we're going to use. And when we thought about replacing our deep freeze, I knew that I wanted to go with a chest freezer. I didn't know how big of a one I wanted to get, and we were kind of like looking around here and there. There was a couple that we saw, but then when I saw that one at Costco and I opened it up, I saw the shelves and I saw the drawers, and my vision was just freezer cooking and the proteins. I was like, it's gonna be perfect. Then when we got it home, my husband and I were like, ooh, I think we kind of estimated with how small it was. But the day that, you know, I was putting stuff in, we had gone to Costco, I had gotten some bigger boxes of some convenience things, and then we were kind of like shoving everything in because it wasn't organized. And then I had kind of regret, and I'm like, no, I'm just gonna, you know, take a little bit of time and get organized. So I think moving forward, I'm gonna be more mindful of, like, if we're at Costco or something and there's a great big box of something, I'm like, oh, this might be a little bit bigger than what we need, or now I know exactly what I need. So if I go to Costco next time, I know I need a bag of the sweet potato fries because I don't have anything, so they would go in my freezer in the kitchen. And that's kind of my goal, is the freezer in the kitchen will be the easy, convenient stuff, kind of helpers to go along with the mains. And then the freezer that we got at Costco will be kind of organized. And then the fridge freezer that we have in the garage, it's over 25 years old. It can quit at any time. So I don't really want to have everything completely full, because if, you know, I have a little bit of stuff in there, I want to have a little bit of wiggle room. So just being organized definitely helps in the long run. And then just a little bit of cooking that night. And I find, like, when I'm organized and I know exactly what I have, you know, I can go to the pantry, pull out what I need. It just makes me enjoy the whole cooking process again. And honestly, that wasn't very time consuming either. I made the shepherd's pie as I was, you know, cooking bacon and peeling potatoes and, you know, getting everything ready. And honestly, it was really easy to clean up. When I'm organized, I just feel more motivated to stay on top of all of it. Got everything cleaned up, put in the freezer, and now I'm just updating all of you. So I think moving forward, I think the way that I grocery shop right now with going to Costco, you know, I know that, you know, the chicken that I get, it never really goes on sale. It's kind of like that 2 for whatever price at Walmart. And then it just will be easy to kind of do that rotation. So, you know, one week I'm getting groceries. I'm like, I don't have a lot on my list this week. Maybe I'll grab a couple of packages of chicken breast, and then I'm good. And then a couple of weeks later, oh, ground beef goes on sale. So I'm like, okay, I have room. So I'm gonna get the ground beef. I'll make the spaghetti sauce. I'll make the chili. I'll break it down into 1 pound packages. So if I want to make meatloaf or meatballs or anything, it will be really quick and easy to do. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the process. I just find once you get organized, it's easy to maintain it. It's not as time consuming as kind of that initial kind of process of trying to get everything in the right place. So that's it for this. I don't know how much more I'll be sharing moving forward. I just have everything kind of the way that I want it right now, and the goal is to get back to sharing some what's for dinner videos and cooking videos and all of that, because I know many of you enjoy them. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you all soon.